La entrevista.
We're back for this very, very special interview that we have every Friday night. Of course, I must tell that the end of the program from Monday to Thursday is always very special. We have very special persons in areas like economics or literature or other areas. But you know that this interview of the Friday night is very, very special to me because we have overall very special people. Sometimes is the Oscar winner director that everybody knows. Sometimes is this ballerina who is dancing still in the best scenes overall the world. Sometimes is this tenor who is walking the bel canto over all the world too. But any time, always we have very special people. Today we have a very, very special person. I must say that I think this is a very courageous a man who, with courage and with a real character, to fight the fight he's fighting right now. I'm talking about Robert Amsterdam. Robert Amsterdam is an international lawyer with 40 years of experience working on high profile dispute in emerging markets. His law firm, Amsterdam and Partners LLP, has offices in London and Washington, D.C., so that we are almost neighbors. We are very close. And he's an incredible person in areas like litigation, arbitration, and white collar defense. But he's a very, very special man because now he's fighting an incredible fight because it's a fight against one of the more despotic and ruthless structures that I know. This is the Spanish Treasury, la Hacienda Española. And it's incredible because he's not only the lawyer of this or that person, but in fact, he's developing an incredible legal activity in defense of dozens, scores of people. And I think that if he wins, and I hope so, he's going to be a real blessing for thousands and thousands and thousands of persons paying taxes in Spain. Mr. Amsterdam, very welcome to La Voz.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, first question, and this is an obligatory question. Why has this case been initiated against the Spanish Treasury? What has impelled an office in London and Washington, D.C., to have this fight against the Spanish Treasury, against la Hacienda Española?
Well, frankly, a number of people who invested in Spain came to me probably about a year ago already. Um, and when they first came to me to explain their problems with the tax authority, I refused. I said, look, I'm not a tax lawyer. And they said, no, this is not a tax problem. This is a problem of rule of law. And we began to study the hacienda, and we realized they were right, that inside Europe lay an organization as much a cult as a government organ that was predatory, that robbed people of their livelihoods, their homes, that acted in a manner contrary to law, that violated every principle of European values. And myself, and then later we hired a brilliant expert in Dr. Chris Wales, an acclaimed tax theorist who worked for Tony Blair and Gordon Brown. We all came to believe that we could not just limit ourselves to representing foreigners. We had to expand and in fact go after this entire corrupt artifice. I will tell you that the bio of mine is a little old. I've probably been a lawyer now for over 45 years, operating in countries all over the world, in some of the least developed countries. And the hacienda is almost unique uh, in my experience. Certainly, I've never seen an organization like this exist in a democracy. And I call it a dialectic of ignorance. People outside of Spain have no knowledge of its existence, and people inside Spain have no knowledge of exactly how bad it is in comparison to the rest of the world.
I have seen that. I don't know. I don't remember well if you or another person close to you, maybe an information in any newspaper, was telling that the action of the tax agency of La Agencia Tributaria violate several human rights. Do you agree with this?
That comes from our white paper, which was released and is available on SpanishTaxPickpockets.com. Absolutely. Um, there is in Spain, in tax issues, no presumption of innocence, which is a cardinal rule of law. In fact, it's the other way. There is a presumption of veracity in favor of the tax inspector. Um, there is in Spain a bonus system for tax inspectors that exists nowhere else in the world. Firstly, into its scope and the monetary impact, but secondly, and more importantly, these inspectors have no clawback when they're wrong. So you have a government literally goading people into becoming predators in order to feed their families. I mean, then you add on top of that a situation where you have to pay the assessed amount in advance before you can appeal. Then you have an administrative tax layer that courts in Europe have ruled are not independent. And then you have a tax organization that charges outrageous penalties, the
Yeah.
kind of penalties that were only seen in Franco's Spain. Uh, then you have a situation where um, the very notoriety of the penalties forces people to settle on egregious, awful terms because they're too afraid for these penalties to accumulate. And the fascinating thing is, if you manage to struggle through all of that, the odds of winning are very high, in excess of 50%. But
Yeah.
you have to be able to struggle through everything. And it's a tremendous tragedy of Spain that this lack of legality has now become known all over the world. Recent OECD figures show a real tailing off in terms of foreign investment in Spain, and it's because of the lack of legal certainty. And that won't be achieved until the government of Spain decides to overhaul the tax system by the root, not just with respect to the Beckham law, but with respect to the very structure of hacienda. And we have to bring rule of law into the system. And I mean, some of the stuff you see in Spain is crazy. I mean, hacienda
Yeah.
is now in the schools. There was an article yesterday about how hacienda is teaching tax compliance in elementary schools in Spain. I mean, this is an organization that needs to be controlled. They're acting as if they need to train the old communist youth organization. I don't know where they get this ideology from. I don't think I don't think the leadership of the hacienda are trained with respect to rule of law or fairness. they've written a series of letters against me personally, calling me an enemy of Spain. They've briefed people against me, which I just find laughable. Quite honestly, I couldn't be more of a friend of Spain in trying to make these arguments to improve transparency and rule of law in Spain. The problem is, as you're aware, Spain has been managed by a series of corrupt governments. I mean,
That's true.
what we've seen recently with the Sanchez government is, of course, it is unparalleled in human history. I think Papa Doc Duvalier from Haiti would
Yeah.
blush at what's going on with Sanchez and his government. But in terms of Hacienda, the PP were just as bad. And I think one of the most important things that needs to be done is a cross-party compact to change the system completely. And I can tell you that my team, and we have around the world about 20 to 25 lawyers, we are working on a document called the Madrid Memorandum, which is going to set out specific legislative changes that we think are necessary to bring the tax system of Spain into the family of nations.
I totally agree. I know very well since almost 2 decades how the Agencia Tributaria is working, and I can confirm everything you have told. But, well, here there's a real danger I think you realize about this. For example, my personal experience is that two attorneys I had been paying left me, and they left me because they were really terrified under the threats and the menace coming from the Agencia Tributaria. I don't know if you know some experiences like this, but anyway, are you aware that they may try to assassinate your reputation?
To be very frank, let me be very clear, sir.
Yeah.
I have been divorced 3 times.
Well,
I have had my character assassinated many, many times. I am not allowed in 7 countries. I am banned from Russia and under investigation in Ukraine because I've defended the Orthodox Church, Children of Christ, who have been under attack. Um, I am I have been banned, deported, uh, sued for $100 million. I have a history of uh, you know getting threatened. In fact, many of the lawyers in Spain I've gone to refuse to work with me, not because they don't enjoy the experience, because they say that if they help me, their firms and their clients will be audited. So I'm also, quite frankly, in my late 60s. My reputation, one way or the other, is kind of done. So they can throw whatever they want at me. I've kind of seen it all.
well, I can understand you, and I think we have several common experiences, so that I can understand. Are you aware that judges and prosecutors collaborate with the tax agency? I have even seen how they impute innocent people to use them as false witness. Do you know this too?
I want to say very very much at the outset of this that as a lawyer who appears before many courts, I never discuss judges because that can lead me uh, open to various professional issues that would harm my client. So I don't discuss the judiciary uh, generally. And if there is improper conduct of the judiciary, I always suggest people report it. But I don't, given frankly the recent spate of cases in favor of the taxpayer, including the very famous decision yesterday
Yeah.
in favor of this wonderful actress, um, I want to be very cautious about saying any words concerning the judiciary. I think, in terms of the agency itself, um, the very structure of the agency leads to predation and corruption. And I've said that time and time again. And that's where I'll limit my remarks. I won't go further.
Uh, you have mentioned this case of Ana Duato and Imanol Arias. They are very known in the show business in Spain. Ana Duato was acquitted several hours ago after an ordeal of more than 10 years. I myself have won more than 30 court rulings against the Agencia Tributaria, and even I have received the support of the US Department of Justice against the Spanish administration. Are you aware that this fight can last years and years?
Look, it has been my very sad duty to interview people whose fights have gone on up to 20 years with the agency.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I am certainly aware of that, and it's certainly, it's beyond shocking to meet people whose lives have been destroyed, literally destroyed, whose very will to live has been ended by the agency. I can't tell you how many people have corresponded with me that their family life has been destroyed, that they are in fear of their mental stability. The letters and messages I get are beyond tragic, and as you may be aware, we've done an ad campaign all over the world denouncing the agency and asking people to tell us their stories. And literally, I can tell you that it keeps me up at night. I've never seen anything like the heartless cruelty of the agent. I've had people in mental hospitals having their bank accounts taken. I've had retired policemen lose their only means of transport. I mean, I can just go on and on and on. It is absolutely heartless and shameful. It is not defensible. It is unique as an organization that, it represents the worst drive of people who have no thought for the future of the country, whose only goal is to achieve their bonus targets. Damn the torpedoes, come what may. This agency is destroying the business heart of Spain. If you are an entrepreneur, get out while you can. I can't tell you the number of startup companies that have been forced to close as a result of the agency's behavior. They have a view that they succeed if a company goes bankrupt, that if a company goes bankrupt, it deserves to go bankrupt and somebody else will pick up the pieces. It is shameless, absolutely unparalleled in its stupidity and its lack of concern over the business growth and development of Spain. They are at war with the business community. And if they can't screw you one way, they then go out to destroy your reputation, steal your money from your bank account, contact your relatives and friends and humiliate you. I mean, the lengths to which they go. I mean, it's obvious, even with me, I'm a foreign lawyer, and they write a letter to every member of the institution denouncing me as an enemy, as someone who's, not able to know the truth. I mean, it was absolutely teenage and childless stupidity. I mean, they have done no research into who I am, for instance. They, you know, they are just mindless and arrogant and behave like a cult.
That's totally true. I don't have any kind of doubt about this. I have lived this. I have seen this during a lot of years, and I totally agree. Well, Mr. Amsterdam, what do you hope to achieve? Legal changes, compensations. What exactly is your target?
It is not money because if you know Spain, you know they don't pay their judgments anyway. It
I
is
know.
change. It is um, it is absolutely to get the system to change and to make it comply with rule of law. Uh,
And yes, yes,
and
and
we are also before the courts. I'm already before the courts. I don't publish what we do legally because I use other people, other lawyers to put my cases before the court. Because if my name shows up, then the client will have a tougher problem. But we're already before the courts. I am sure we will make new law. Um, we're going after Spain in a host of different ways. We're viewing the hacienda as a non tariff barrier to trade. We're going to talk to the Trump administration about Spain. We're going to talk to Brussels about Spain and Spain's basic breaches of the foundations of the European Union's pillars of free movement of capital and people. We're going to we're going to explore every legal avenue that is available. We are going to continue to advertise globally about Spanish misconduct until somebody in government in Spain wakes up to the fact that this is not just a foreign law firm. What we are putting together is a collaboration of people from all walks of Spanish life who want change of hacienda.
And well, let's suppose that after several time, I don't know how many years, but after several time, and I hope this going to be a very rational gap of time, you achieve your target. Uh, what's how do you see this future? Which will be the change situation? There will be more guarantees. There will disappear the bonus of the officials in Hacienda. How do you see this future?
I will say this: once we have ended and corrected this illegal, corrupt bonuses, a lot of other stuff will fall into place. I see the bonus system as the key to repair. And once we get the bonus system changed, and I have every confidence we will, I think the other aspects of the tax system that violate the rule of law will be easier to be dealt with.
Because these officials are not receiving bonus, so that they're going to behave in a more honest way, do you think?
Yes, I think it will be a huge incentive towards the presumption of innocence and obviously towards the protection of the rights granted to people in Spain by their own constitution.
I see. And there will be any correction, any hope of correction of the sufferings experienced by other persons in the past?
To be very frank with you, the idea of reparations has crossed my mind, but I would be highly presumptuous if I started to make that uh, a foundation of this work. I want to succeed within my lifetime, and I think if I start putting uh, very expensive obstacles to reform, it's going to delay the moment at which the Spanish people are freed from this menace. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to delay it anymore.
Well, I can agree. I had been a victim over 12 years of La Agencia Tributaria, and this has been a very expensive and long story, but I can understand you, and I think that it's the best right now to try to make right the ways of the Agencia Tributaria and put it under the rule of law that maybe think about reparations. I agree totally with you. Well, Mr. Amsterdam, I think this has been a very clear interview. You had been very clear, and probably to many persons who are listening us in this American continent, this is a real discovery. Probably they never thought about this awful reality in Spain, but it's an undeniable reality. And when these kind of interviews were made by me in the conventional radio in the past, I used to give one of my books signed by me to the person like you who has been so kind and so gentle and so patient answering the questions. But this is totally impossible right now in the cyberspace, so that I give a melody, a song, a piece of music to the person who has been so kind as you had been with us. And I have chosen the music of an old and wonderful Western movie. Its name was High Noon, and probably you remember that the Sheriff Cooper was waiting for the Batman coming in a train, but it was the rule of law, the wish of upholding the law, who makes Sheriff Cooper to wait for this kind of outlaws. I hope that you're going to have the courage of this sheriff, that you're going to face the outlaws of La Agencia Tributaria, and that you're going to win and win totally, because this will be a blessing to Spaniards, but also to persons who live in other countries and they are really wishing to invest in Spain, but this is totally foolish right now. Thank you very much, Mr. Amsterdam.
And thank you. And I wish you every good wish in your dealings with Hacienda.
Thank you very much.
El programa La Voz es una producción de Artorius Incorporated y al amparo del derecho a la libertad de expresión. No se hace responsable de las opiniones vertidas en el curso del mismo.